Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Columbia, watching the stars through the large window. He had been in space for 20 years, but the sight still amazed him. Today felt different, though. His crew had picked up strange signals from the edge of their star system. "Captain, we have incoming ships," said Lieutenant Amy Chen from her station. "Lots of them." Jake walked over to look at her screen. Hundreds of red dots appeared on the radar. These were not human ships. They were too big and moved in perfect formation. Jake had never seen anything like it. "Send a message to Earth," Jake ordered. "Tell them we have visitors." The alien ships stopped just outside human space. They did not attack, but they did not leave either. Jake knew this was the moment humans had always wondered about: first contact with alien life. 3 days later, Jake received orders from Earth. Ambassador Lisa Grant would come aboard the Columbia. She would try to talk to the aliens. Jake did not like the idea. His ship was built for exploration, not war. But if these aliens wanted to fight, the Columbia would be alone against hundreds of enemy ships. Ambassador Grant arrived with a small team. She was a thin woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Jake had heard she was the best diplomat on Earth she would need to be. "Captain Morrison," she said as she came aboard, "what do we know about them?" "They have been sitting there for 3 days," Jake replied. "No messages, no movement, just waiting." "Waiting for what?" "I think they want us to make the first move." Lisa nodded. "Then let's not keep them waiting." The aliens agreed to meet at a space station called Waypoint 7. It was old and had been built by traders many years ago. Now it would be the place where 2 different species would meet for the first time. Jake brought the Columbia to the station. The alien ships followed at a distance. Up close, Jake could see how different they were. The alien ships looked like giant insects made of metal. They were dark green and had sharp edges everywhere. Inside the station, Jake and Lisa waited in a large room. The air felt cold and empty. Then the aliens arrived. They were tall, maybe 8 feet high. Their skin was gray and smooth like stone. They had 4 arms and large black eyes. When they walked, they made soft clicking sounds with their feet. The leader of the aliens stepped forward. When he spoke, a machine changed his words into English. "I am Commander Zethkar of the Great Zephyrian Empire," he said. His voice sounded like grinding metal. "You will listen and obey." Lisa stood up slowly. She was not afraid, even though the alien was twice her size. "I am Ambassador Lisa Grant, speaking for all humans," she said. "We are happy to meet you." Commander Zethkar made a sound that might have been laughing. "Happy? You should be afraid. The Zephyrian Empire rules 40,000 star systems. Your tiny species has spread to only 12 systems. You are nothing compared to us." Jake felt his hands become fists. This alien was trying to scare them. But Lisa stayed calm. "We may be small," Lisa said, "but we are not weak. What do you want from us?" "Simple," Zethkar replied. "You will leave all systems except your homeworld. You will never travel to the stars again. If you obey, we will let you live." The room became very quiet. Jake could hear his own heart beating. The aliens were asking humans to give up everything they had built among the stars. All the colonies, all the new worlds where human children were born. Everything. Lisa looked at Jake, then back at the alien commander. "And if we refuse? Then we will destroy you," Zethkar said. "We have done this to many species before. Some fight, some surrender. All end the same way, under Zephyrian rule or dead." Lisa was quiet for a long moment. Jake could see her thinking. Finally, she spoke. "Commander Zethkar, I have a different offer for you." The alien tilted his large head. "You have no power to make offers." "Listen carefully," Lisa said. Her voice became hard like steel. "You don't want to fight us. We are asking you nicely. Run." The aliens made loud noises that sounded like angry birds. Jake realized they were laughing. Commander Zethkar laughed the loudest. "You threaten us? You tiny creatures with your small ships and weak weapons? This is very funny." Lisa did not smile. "We are not threatening you. We are warning you. There is a difference." What could you possibly do to the great Zephyrian Empire? Lisa looked directly into Zethkar's black eyes. You rule 40,000 systems because the species you fought before were like you. They built big ships and fought big battles. They thought winning meant having the biggest guns and the most soldiers. She stepped closer to the alien commander. We are not like them. We are human. And if you force us to fight, you will learn what that means. Zethkar stopped laughing. For a moment, Jake thought he saw something like doubt in the alien's eyes, but then the commander made himself tall and proud again. You have 1 week, Zethkar said. Leave the other systems, or we will remove you. The aliens left the station. Jake and Lisa watched their ships move away through the window. Do you think he believed us? Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. No, they think we are bluffing. They have been the strongest for so long, they cannot imagine anyone saying no to them. What do we do now? Lisa looked out at the alien fleet in the distance. 500 ships, all bigger than anything humans had ever built. Now we show them why they should have listened, she said. Send a message to Admiral Palmer. Tell him it's time for Operation Hornet's Nest. Jake felt a chill run down his back. He had heard of Operation Hornet's Nest. It was the plan humans hoped they would never need to use. The plan for fighting an enemy they could not beat in a fair fight. As the Columbia headed back to human space, Jake looked at the alien fleet one more time. They were already moving, getting ready to invade human worlds. They thought this would be easy. They were about to learn they were very wrong. General Karen Blake stood in the war room deep inside Earth's military base. Around her, officers worked at computers and talked into radios. Red lights flashed on screens showing human colonies across 12 star systems. Each light was a world where millions of people lived and worked. How much time do we have? Karen asked her assistant, Colonel Jim Torres. Zephyrian fleet will reach Aurora Colony in 4 days, Jim replied. They are moving faster than we thought. Karen nodded. She had been planning for this day ever since humans first left Earth. Every military leader knew that someday they might meet aliens who wanted to fight, but she had hoped it would never happen. Dr. Alex Turner walked into the room carrying a thick folder. He was the best alien expert on Earth, even though he had never seen a real alien until 3 days ago. General, I have finished studying the Zephyrian records, Alex said. The news is not good. Tell me, Karen said. Alex opened his folder. They have conquered over 300 different species in the last 1,000 years. Every single species either surrendered or was destroyed. They have never lost a war. How do they fight? Always the same way. They bring massive fleets to enemy worlds. They destroy a few cities from space, then they demand surrender. Most species give up after seeing their weapons. Karen frowned. What about the ones who don't surrender? Complete destruction. The Ryuar. Zephyrians turn their planets into glass, no survivors. The room became quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. If humans fought and lost, there would be no second chances. There is one more thing, Alex continued. In all their wars, they have never faced guerrilla tactics. Every species they fought used big fleets and direct battles. They think war is about who has the biggest ships. General Blake smiled for the first time in days. Then they don't know humans very well. Across the galaxy, High Commander Veltoth studied reports about humans on his command ship. The Zephyrian leader was old, even for his species. He had led the Empire's armies for 200 years. In all that time, he had never met an enemy that lasted more than a few months. These humans are very small, said his assistant, Subcommander Krickstall. Their largest ships are only half the size of our smallest fighters. Veltoth looked at pictures of human colonies, small cities built on new worlds, farms and factories that look simple compared to Zephyrian technology. How many ships do they have? Veltoth asked. Maybe 200 combat vessels in total. We have 500 ships in our advanced fleet alone. Good. This will be over quickly. I want to return home before the cold season begins. But Subcommander Krickstall looked worried. Sir, there was something strange about their diplomat. She did not seem afraid. All species try to act brave at first, Veltoth said. They change their minds when they see our weapons. On Aurora Colony, Lieutenant Ben Clark flew his small scout ship through the asteroid field outside the planet. Ben was only 25 years old, but he was one of the best pilots in the human fleet. His job was to watch for the Zephyrian attack. Through his radio, Ben heard the voice of Captain Nina Rodriguez. She commanded the mining station near Aurora. Ben, we are seeing movement on long-range sensors. Big ships, coming this way. Ben checked his own instruments. I see them too, Captain. Looks like the whole Zephyrian fleet. How many? Ben counted the dots on his screen. 50 ships in the first wave, all bigger than anything we have. Captain Rodriguez was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Ben, remember the plan. Let them come close, then run. Make them follow you. Yes, ma'am. See you on the other side. The Zephyrian ships came out of hyperspace like metal sharks. They were huge and dark with weapons pointing in every direction. Ben had never seen anything so scary. The lead Zephyrian ship sent a message to Aurora Colony. Surrender now or be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide. Instead of answering, 12 human ships flew up from the planet. They were small and fast like tiny flies around giant elephants. Ben was in the lead ship. All units, this is Hornet. Leader, Ben said into his radio. Let's show them how humans fight. The human ships split up and attacked from different directions. They were too small and quick for the big Zephyrian guns to hit easily. Ben's ship fired missiles at a Zephyrian cruiser, then flew away before they could shoot back. The battle lasted 2 hours. When it was over, 3 Zephyrian ships were badly damaged, but the humans lost 4 ships, including some of Ben's friends. Retreat, Ben called to the remaining human ships. Fall back to Point 7. The human ships ran away just like the plan said they should. The Zephyrians followed, thinking they had won an easy victory. High Commander Veltoth received the battle report on his flagship. His officers seemed happy. Excellent work, Veltoth said. How many human ships did we destroy? 4 confirmed. Kills, sir, reported his weapons officer. The rest ran away when they saw our power. And our losses? 3 ships with minor damage. Nothing serious. Veltoth was pleased, but something bothered him. Why did they attack at all? They must have known they could not win. Sub-Commander Krixtal studied the battle recordings. Sir, I noticed something strange. The human ships never tried to destroy us. They hit our engines and weapons but avoided our life support systems. What does that mean? I think they were trying to disable us, not kill us. Veltoth thought about this. In every other war, enemy species tried to kill as many Zephyrians as possible. These humans seemed different. It does not matter, Veltoth decided. Increase our fleet to 2,000 ships. These humans want to play games. We will end this, quickly. But across human space, General Blake was already putting the next part of her plan into action. She called it Operation Hornet's Nest for a good reason. Humans were about to show the Zephyrians what happened when you kicked a nest full of angry hornets. The warning had been given. The Zephyrians had not listened. Now they would learn why that was a mistake. Commander Troy Davis floated in his small ship, watching the Zephyrian supply convoy through his telescope. 25 big alien ships moved slowly through space, carrying fuel and weapons to their war fleet. Troy counted the guards. Only 6 fighter ships protected the convoy. Easy targets, Troy whispered into his radio. Maya, are your mining ships ready? Chief Engineer Maya Foster answered from her converted cargo ship. Ready, Troy. We turned 12 mining vessels into missile platforms. The aliens won't know what hit them. Maya had spent 3 weeks changing civilian ships into weapons. She took the big drills used for mining asteroids and attached explosive warheads to them. The ships looked harmless like normal workers, but they carried enough firepower to hurt the alien supply lines. Remember the plan, Troy said to his team. Hit fast, hit hard, then disappear. We are not trying to win a big battle. We just want to make them scared. The human ships moved closer to the convoy. They hid behind asteroids and space rocks, waiting for the right moment. Troy had learned this trick from studying old Earth wars. Small groups could beat big armies if they were smart about it. All ships, attack now, Troy ordered. 15 human ships burst out of the asteroid field like angry bees. The Zephyrian guards were surprised. They had been looking for big enemy fleets, not tiny ships hiding in rocks. Maya's mining ship fired first. Her drill missiles hit a Zephyrian supply ship and tore through its metal hull. The alien ship began spinning out of control, leaking air and fuel into space. The other human ships attacked different targets. They moved fast and fired quickly, then turned away before the Zephyrian guns could aim at them. In 10 minutes, half the supply convoy was damaged or destroyed. "Time to go," Troy called out. Everyone back to the hiding spots. The human ships, scattered in all directions. Some hid in the asteroid field again. Others flew behind nearby moons. The Zephyrian guards tried to follow, but the human ships were too small and fast to catch. Sub-Commander Krixtal arrived with reinforcements 30 minutes later. He found the convoy burning in space and no sign of the attackers. "What happened? Here?" Krixtal asked the surviving guards. "Small ships, sir. They came from nowhere and attacked us. Then they vanished like ghosts." Krixtal studied the wreckage. The human weapons had been very precise. They hit fuel tanks and engine rooms but left the crew areas mostly undamaged. Most of the Zephyrian sailors were alive, floating in escape pods. "These humans fight strangely," Krixtal said to himself. This was just the beginning. Over the next week, human ghost fleets attacked supply lines all across Zephyrian space. They hit fuel convoys, weapon shipments, and food supplies. The aliens never saw them coming and could never catch them afterward. Captain Nina Rodriguez led one of these ghost fleets. Her mining station had been turned into a mobile base that could hide in nebulas and asteroid fields. She had 20 small ships under her command, all crewed by miners and civilian volunteers. "Nina, we have a big target coming," reported her Scout Lieutenant Carl Stone. 50 Zephyrian ships carrying ammunition to their main fleet. Nina looked at the target information. This convoy was much bigger than the ones they usually attacked. It had heavy guards and powerful weapons. "It's too dangerous," said her second-in-command, Captain Bobby Lee. "We should wait for a smaller target." Nina shook her head. "That ammunition is going to be used against human colonies. We can't let it through." She called a meeting with all her ship commanders. They gathered in the old mining station's main room. These were not professional soldiers. They were farmers, miners, and traders who had volunteered to fight for their homes. "I won't lie to you," Nina said. "This mission is risky. Anyone who wants to leave can go now. No shame in it." Nobody left. These people had families on human worlds. They knew what would happen if the Zephyrians won. "All right then," Nina said. "Here's the plan." The attack came at the Titan Nebula, a huge cloud of gas and dust that blocked radar signals. The Zephyrian convoy entered the nebula to hide from human scouts. They did not know that 50 human ships were already waiting inside. Nina's ships were spread throughout the nebula like a spider web. When the Zephyrian convoy reached the center, they were surrounded. "All units, light them up," Nina ordered. The human ships attacked from every direction at once. The nebula's gas clouds hid their movements and confused the alien sensors. Zephyrian ships fired at shadows while real attacks came from different directions. Maya Foster's engineering teams had prepared a special surprise. They had filled the nebula with small mines that looked like space debris. When Zephyrian ships tried to maneuver, they ran into these hidden explosives. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, 30 Zephyrian ships were disabled and drifting in space. The humans had lost only 6 ships and most of their crews had escaped in life pods. Sub-Commander Krixtal arrived too late to help the convoy. He found his ships floating helplessly in the nebula, their crews alive but their weapons destroyed. "How many humans attacked us?" Krixtal asked a surviving captain. "We counted at least 50 ships, sir. Maybe more. They were everywhere at once." Krixtal was confused. His intelligence report said humans only had 200 ships total. How could they attack so many places at the same time? The answer was simple, but the Zephyrians did not understand it yet. Humans were not fighting like an organized army. They were fighting like a swarm of insects. Each group acted independently, striking wherever they found weakness. High Commander Veltoth received reports of attacks across his supply lines. In 1 week, humans had destroyed or damaged 200 Zephyrian ships. His main war fleet was running low on fuel and ammunition. "Bring me more ships," Veltoth ordered. "I want 3,000 vessels in this sector." "Sir," his advisor said carefully, "we are already using most of our available fleet. If we bring more ships here, other parts of the Empire will be defenseless." Veltoth's anger grew. These tiny humans were forcing him to use resources meant for the entire galaxy. It was embarrassing and expensive, but he did not understand the real problem yet. The humans were not trying to defeat the Zephyrian Empire in a big battle. They were trying to make the war cost more than it was worth. Every ship the aliens sent to human space was a ship that could not protect Zephyrian worlds elsewhere. Troy. Davis and his ghost fleet prepared for their next mission. They had proven that small ships could hurt big fleets. Now it was time to show the aliens something even more frightening. It was time to attack their home bases. Dr. Sam Peter sat in front of dozens of computer screens in a secret room on Earth. Each screen showed information about individual Zephyrian soldiers: names, families, home planets, personal histories. Sam had been studying alien psychology for months, learning how their minds worked. "Are you ready for Operation Whisper?" General Blake asked as she entered the room. Sam nodded. "We have personal information on over 50,000 Zephyrian soldiers. Their military databases were not as secure as they thought." Communications officer Chloe White worked at a nearby station. She was an expert at learning alien languages. In just 3 weeks, she had learned to speak Zephyrian better than most humans spoke their own language. "We can broadcast on all their military frequencies," Chloe said. "They won't be able to stop our messages without shutting down their own communications." General Blake smiled. "Then let's begin. Show these aliens what psychological warfare really means." The first messages began that night. Zephyrian soldiers across the war fleet heard voices speaking their own language on their radios. But these were not orders from commanders. These were personal messages. "Soldier Kethrin of the battleship Dark Star," the voice said. "Your mate, Zanella, gave birth to your second child last week, a healthy male. She named him after your father. Do you want to die in this war and never see your son?" Soldier Kethrin dropped his weapon and stared at his radio. How could the humans know about his family? How did they know his father's name? Similar messages went to thousands of other Zephyrian soldiers. The humans knew about their families, their hopes, their fears. They spoke about home planets and childhood memories that no enemy should know. "Commander Velthak of Fighter Squadron 7, another message said. "Your daughter just finished her education training. She wants to become a healer like her grandfather. She wrote you a letter last month asking when you will come home. When will you tell her that you died fighting people who never threatened your family?" Commander Velthak had been preparing to attack a human supply ship. Instead, he found himself thinking about his daughter's letter. Why was he fighting these humans? What had they done to his family? Captain Bobby Lee led a group of civilian ships that helped with the psychological campaign. His ships were not warships. They were family vessels with children and old people aboard. When Zephyrian patrols found them, they did not attack. Instead, they broadcast messages. "Hello, Zephyrian warriors," came a child's voice over the radio. "My name is Lucy. I am 7 years old. My daddy says you want to hurt us, but I don't. Think you are bad people. My teacher says all people want their families to be safe. Do you have children too?" The Zephyrian patrol ships stopped moving. The soldiers inside listened to more human voices. Mothers talking about their children, fathers singing lullabies, grandparents telling old stories. "We are not your enemies," said an old man's voice. "We just want to live on our worlds and raise our families, just like you do. Why are we fighting?" Subcommander Crixtall received reports of strange behavior throughout the fleet. Soldiers were refusing orders. Some ships had stopped patrolling. Others were requesting permission to return home. "What is happening to our troops?" Crixtall asked his intelligence officer. "The humans are broadcasting personal messages, sir. They know things about our soldiers that only family members should know. It is affecting morale." Crixtall listened to one of the intercepted human broadcasts. A woman's voice spoke in perfect Zephyrian. "Gunner Prextall of the cruiser Iron Wind. Your mother is sick. The doctors say she may not live through the cold season. She asks about you every day. She wants to see you one more time before she dies. Is this war more important than your mother's last wish? Even Krixtal felt emotion when he heard this message. He had met Gunnar Prextal many times. The soldier was a good warrior, but he loved his mother more than anything. War Prime Nexuran, the highest Zephyrian military leader, called an emergency meeting on his flagship. His officers looked tired and worried. Report, Nexuran demanded. 12% of our soldiers are refusing to fight, reported his aide. Another 20% are requesting transfers home. 3 entire squadrons have abandoned their positions. Nexuran's anger burned hot. How can humans know so much about our people? We believe they hacked our communication networks months ago, sir. They have been studying us while we ignored them. And now they use this information as a weapon. Yes, sir. They are not trying to kill our soldiers. They are trying to make them think about why they are fighting. At the same time, human raids continued against Zephyrian supply bases. But now these raids were different. Troy Davis led an attack on a major fuel depot, but his ships carried more than weapons. They carried recording equipment. All Zephyrian personnel. This is Commander Troy Davis of the Human Defense Force. Troy broadcast as his ships destroyed the fuel storage tanks. We are not here to kill you. We are here to stop this war. Look around you. Look at what this conflict is costing. Both our peoples. The human ships could have destroyed the Zephyrian base completely. Instead, they carefully avoided the crew quarters and life support systems. They destroyed only military supplies. Your leaders told you this would be an easy war, Troy continued. They said humans were weak and would surrender quickly. But here we are, still fighting. Still making you pay for every mile of space you try to take. How long will you follow leaders who lied to you? After the attack, many Zephyrian soldiers at the base refused to rebuild the fuel depot. Some asked to be transferred to non-combat duties. Others simply walked away from their posts. Captain Danny Brooks commanded a small human ship that was captured during a raid. When Zephyrian soldiers boarded his vessel, they expected to find weapons and military equipment. Instead, they found something else. The ship's cargo bay was full of pictures. Thousands of photographs showing human families, human children, human homes. There were also pictures of Zephyrian families that humans had found in captured equipment. Why do you carry these? Asked the Zephyrian boarding officer. Danny looked at the alien soldier. Because I want you to remember what we are all fighting for. Look at these pictures. Look at your family photos next to ours. Can you tell which children are human and which are Zephyrian without looking at the labels? The Zephyrian officer studied the pictures. Human children playing in parks looked very similar to Zephyrian children playing in their own playgrounds. The emotions on the faces were the same. Love, joy, curiosity, hope. We are not so different, Danny said quietly. We both want our families to be safe. We both want our children to grow up in peace. So why are we trying to kill each other? The Zephyrian officer did not answer, but he did not hurt Danny either. Instead, he looked at the pictures for a long time. News of the human psychological campaign spread throughout the Zephyrian fleet. Families back home began asking questions. If humans knew so much about Zephyrian soldiers, what else did they know? Were Zephyrian worlds really safe? War Prime Nexuran found himself facing something no Zephyrian leader had ever dealt with before. His own people were starting to question the war, not because they were afraid of dying, but because they were starting to understand what they were fighting for. The humans had found a weapon more powerful than any gun or missile. They had weaponized doubt, compassion, and the universal desire for peace. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire was facing an enemy that fought not just with ships and guns but with ideas and emotions, and they were losing. War Prime Nexuran stood alone on the bridge of his flagship, staring out at the stars. His mighty fleet of 3,000 ships surrounded him, but he felt more alone than ever. Reports kept coming in from across the war zone. More soldiers refusing to fight. More ships abandoning their positions. More questions from home about why this war was taking so long. Sir, his aide approached carefully. We have received another communication from the humans. Nexuran turned around. His forearms moved with tired anger. What do they want now? They are requesting a meeting, sir. They say they want to talk about ending the war. Talk? After all they have done to my forces? They suggest meeting at the same neutral station where this war began. Waypoint 7. Nexuran thought about this. 40% of his fleet was no longer following orders properly. His supply lines were in ruins. And worst of all, families across the Zephyrian Empire were asking their government why their sons and daughters were dying in a war against people who seemed to know everything about them. Tell them we will meet, Nexuran said finally. But this time, I go myself. President Ellen Hayes arrived at Waypoint 7 with a small group of advisors. She was the leader of all human colonies, elected by billions of people who trusted her to keep them safe. With her came Admiral Jake Morrison, who had been promoted after his success in the first diplomatic meeting. The meeting room was the same one where Ambassador Lisa Grant had first warned the Zephyrians to run. But now the atmosphere was different. The aliens did not look confident and proud. They looked tired and confused. War Prime Nexuran entered with only 2 guards. This was unusual for a Zephyrian leader. They usually traveled with large groups to show their power. But Nexuran wanted this meeting to be different. President Hayes, Nexuran said through his translator. You wanted to talk, so talk. Ellen. Hayes stood up. She was much smaller than the alien leader, but she did not seem afraid. War Prime Nexuran, thank you for coming. I hope we can end this war today. End it how? Your people have destroyed my supply lines and turned my soldiers against me. Do you want me to surrender? No, Ellen said. We want you to understand something. We never wanted to fight you at all. Nexuran's large black eyes showed confusion. Then why did you resist? Why did you not simply obey our demands? Captain Danny Brooks stepped forward. He had been chosen to help with the negotiations because of his experience with captured Zephyrian soldiers. Because we are not the same as the other species you conquered, Danny explained. They were afraid of your big ships and powerful weapons, but humans have something different. We have hope. Hope? Nexuran asked. Hope that we can find a better way. Hope that different species can live together without one ruling the other. Hope that war is not the only answer to disagreement. Admiral Morrison opened a folder and placed it on the table. War Prime, we need to tell you something. We have been watching your empire for over a year before we ever met. Nexuran's guards moved closer, but the War Prime stopped them with a gesture. Morrison continued. We hacked your communication systems. We studied your military tactics. We learned about your culture and your people. We knew everything about your empire before you knew we existed. Then why did you not attack us first? Because we hoped we would never have to fight at all, President Hayes answered. We tried to warn you. We asked you to leave in peace. We gave you every chance to avoid this war. Nexuran sat down heavily in his chair. You could have destroyed our supply bases and communication networks before we ever reached your space. You could have won this war before it started. Yes, Ellen said. But winning a war is not the same as building peace. We did not want to be conquerors. We wanted to be neighbors. A new voice spoke from the doorway. Fleet Singer Tailwind entered the room. She was a Zephyrian cultural leader, one of the few aliens who studied philosophy instead of warfare. War Prime, Tailwind said. I have come from the homeworlds. The Council of Voices has been meeting about this war. What do they say? They say our people are asking questions that have never been asked before. Why do we fight species that offer no threat to us? Why do we force others to live under our rule? What gives us the right to take away their freedom? Nexuran looked surprised. The Council of Voices has never questioned military decisions before. This war has changed things, Tailwind explained. These humans have shown us something we never saw before. They showed us that other species are not so different from us. They have families and hopes and dreams just like we do. President Hayes spoke gently. War Prime, we know about your own family. Your son just started his advanced education. Your mate works as a healer in the children's hospital on Zephyr Prime. You fight to protect them, just like we fight to protect our families. Nexuran stared at the human leader. How do you know about my family? Because we studied you, just like we studied your soldiers. But we did not use that information to hurt your family. We used it to understand you. Captain Brooks placed a small device on the table. This contains messages from Zephyrian soldiers who no longer want to fight. They asked us to give these to you. Nexuran activated the device. Voices of his own soldiers filled the room. War Prime, this is Commander Velthak. I have served the Empire for 30 years, but I cannot fight people who show mercy to prisoners and spare civilian lives. These humans are not our enemies. Sir, this is Gunnar Prextal. The humans told me my mother was sick. They were right. She died 3 days ago. I was not there because I was fighting a war that makes no sense. I request permission to return home. More voices followed. Soldiers asking for transfers. Officers questioning orders. Even some ship commanders requesting to end their participation in the war. 40,000 of my troops have sent similar messages, Nexuran said quietly. They are not cowards, Admiral Morrison said. They are thinking beings who have been asked to consider what they are really fighting for. Fleet Singer Tailwind moved closer to the War Prime. The humans have taught us something important. Strength is not about having the biggest weapons or the most ships. Real strength comes from knowing when not to fight. Nexuran was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. What do you propose? President Hayes smiled. Peace. Real peace. Not surrender, not domination. Partnership. We keep our colonies. You keep your empire. We establish trade agreements and cultural exchanges. We learn from each other instead of fighting each other. And if other species threaten either of us, then we help each other. Human creativity and Zephyrian technology together. Imagine what we could accomplish. War Prime Nexuran looked around the room, at the humans who had outsmarted his entire empire without trying to destroy it, at Fleet Singer Tailwind, who represented the voices of his own people calling for peace. I accept, he said finally. This war ends today. 5 years later, Captain Jake Morrison commanded a joint human-Zephyrian exploration fleet heading into unknown parts of the galaxy. When they encountered a new alien species called the Drakmori, Jake sent the same message humans had once given to the Zephyrians. Unknown vessels. This is Captain Morrison of the Human-Zephyrian Alliance. We come in peace. We would like to talk. We are asking you nicely. Let's find a way to be friends instead of enemies. The war that was supposed to destroy humanity had instead created the galaxy's first true alliance between species. And it all started because humans had chosen to show mercy instead of might, understanding instead of conquest. Sometimes the greatest victory comes not from winning a war, but from teaching others that war does not have to be fought at all.